Brahma Gururvishnu Gurudevo Maheshwaraha Gurureva Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Chinmayam Vyapyat Sarvam Trailokyam Sacharacharam Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Tvameva Mata Cha Pita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhu Cha Sakha Tvameva Tvameva Vedyat Pravitam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Jai Guru Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So where are we in our text?
Page 121, top of the page.
I actually forgot my text.
Do you want me to get one? Do you know where they are?
Kaschin Munir Durvasa Bahuvidha Shastra Pustaka Bharoha Saha Mahadevam Namaskartuma Gatasta Tasbhayam Munina Naradena Bharava Higardabhasamya Mapaditaha Kopat Pustakani Lavarna Ve Parityajya Mahadeva Natma Vidyayam Pravartitaha Iti Atma Vidya Janantar Mukhasya Guru Karunya Rahitasya Na Ved Shastra Matreno Padyate. Durvasa, a certain sage, with a load of books on various subjects, had come to salute the great Lord. In that assembly, the sage Narada equaled him with an ass, the beast of burden. Angered, he threw away all the books into the Lavana ocean, and was instructed in the discipline of self-knowledge by the great Lord. And the self-knowledge does not arise by the Vedas alone for one who is not indrawn and devoid of the grace of the preceptor.
So the whole idea here, I love the way Shankara says it in fewer words. Without knowledge of the self, study of the scriptures is futile. With knowledge of the self, study of the scriptures is, again, futile. Meaning, if you do not know who you are, the scriptures become a vast forest of apparently contradictory teachings. Is the self born again into bodies? Does one achieve or attain Brahman? If you attain knowledge of the self, do you get all your desires of the world fulfilled? The scriptures imply that for someone without the eye of wisdom. We have the commentators. I have a dear friend who went to an event with the ISKCON people, the Hare Krishnas, and was talking with the Swami there, or the Acharya, I can't remember what his title was. But he says, well, you are not God. Krishna is God. You are not God. Or the Visishtadvaitins. The individuality is an eternal thing. The jiva is eternal. It's real. The Advaitins say, Sarvam Kalvidam Brahma. This is all Brahman. Brahma Satyam Jagan Nitya. Which is the truth? So we are apt to get very confused. And listen carefully. We are apt to choose scriptures that justify our already held opinions. With knowledge of the self, you become an Upanishad. What need have you of the scriptures? So, what is the value of the scriptures? The scriptures themselves say the scriptures are a valid means of knowledge, a praman. Yet Vidyaranya is saying, maybe not. Shankara certainly seems to deny that. What the scriptures do, practically speaking, is they show us a way of thinking that removes our thinking. They become the tool for the teacher to be able to transmit this knowledge of the self to the student. But what is the most important factor? It isn't scripture study. It's vairagya. It's intense detachment and dispassion. That calms the turbulence of the obscuring mind. Without mature vairagya, we cannot come to know by direct experience. Ramananda rasa swad, the taste, swad, of the juice, rasa, of the bliss of Brahma. All this theoretical knowledge, and here I am caught up in attachment and aversion in the world. Any thoughts on this? Next verse.
Tatha cha shruti naya matma pravachanena labhyo na medhaya na bahuna shrutena kathopanishad iti. And the Shruti has it thus: this self cannot be attained by instruction, nor by intellectual power, nor even through much hearing. Kathopanishad.
So, here is one of the paradoxes. Unless one is a fit student, adhikari, even being instructed by Lord Shiva himself, Pravachana, by means of instruction. It doesn't take root. And if you are a fit student, a rock can enlighten you. So you may have a very flawed teacher, but if you, Radhikari, a fit student, knowledge will dawn on you. What are the qualifications of a fit student? Viveka, that firm conviction in the intellect that Brahman alone is real and the phenomenal world is unreal, is termed discrimination between the real and the unreal. Vairagya, that desire, meaning we don't achieve it overnight, to give up attachment to all experiences, positive and negative, gained through the senses, and that desire to give up identification with any personal sense of self. Shamadhi guna, qualities of shama, etc. Learning how to introvert the mind and tune it out. Fourth, mumukshutva, the burning desire for moksha. On Friday, we had our little Diwali party, and we propitiated the deities, Rama and Sita, as they were entering into Ayodhya. We had Hanuman, but we also had the goddess Lakshmi. Wasn't she there? Did I have a Lakshmi Murti out?
You didn't, but she was on the thali, the plate.
Okay, great. So the exoteric meaning is we propitiate Lakshmi so that we have a prosperous new year. No. What is the real wealth? It is the inner wealth. It is being adhikari. And we propitiated Ganesh, the remover of the obstacles. Not so I get what I want in life. It's the obstacles to my sadhana. That's what we want to have removed. So I like to say the scriptures are a setu. They are a bridge where the vision of the teacher is transmitted to the student. But it only takes place in the mind of a fit student. Next verse.
Before we go on, I just wanted to remind all of us of the context of this, which is that we don't want to have Shastra Vasana. So
Yeah.
yes.
Remember, we were talking about the three different kinds of vasana: Dehavasana of the body, Lokavasana of the people, the world. Now, Shastra Vasana. Thank you. Next one.
Anyatra pyuktam bahushastra katha kantharo manthena vriddheva kim anveshtavyam prayatnena tattvagye jortirantaram iti adhitya chaturo vedan dharma shastranya nekashah brahma tattvam na janati tarvi pakarasam yatha. iti cha. In other places also it is said thus: no purpose is served by the useless repetition of the collected texts of many scriptures in the form of, as it were, a patched garment, as the ruminating a piece of such a garment by a cow or the like is useless. Those who have learned about the inner light should attempt to realize it. Even after studying the four Vedas and all the Dharma Shastras many times, one may not know the essence of Brahman, just like the ladle has no knowledge of the taste of the food.
Yeah, so beautiful image. So you may be a Brahmin and have memorized the mantras of a Veda. That does not guarantee that you are a no Brahman. Next verse.
Naradashchatushti Kala Kushalo Apyanatma Vitvenanutpataha Sannat Kumara Mupasada Itishchantoga Adhiyate Anushtana Vyasanam Vishnu Purane Nidaghasyoupalabhyate Vasishtha Ramayane Dashurasya Nidagho hi Ribhuna Punaha Punaha Prabodhyamano api Karma Shraddha Chiram na Jaho Dashurashchatyantashraddha Jan Yenanushtanaya Shuddha Pradesham Bhumo Na Kvapyupalebhe Asyascha Karma Vasanayaha Punarjanma Hetutvana Malinatvam. In the Chandogya Upanishad, it is narrated that Narad, although well versed in the 64 kinds of lores, was remorseful for being ignorant of the self and went to Sanat Kumar. Nidagha's attachment to the rituals is found in the Vishnu Purana and of Dashura in the Vasishtha Ramayana. Nidagha did not give up for a long time his obstinate adherence to the rituals, even after being persuaded repeatedly by Ribhu. And Dashura, because of his exceedingly obstinate adherence to rituals, could not even find a pure place in the whole world for the performance. This desire for rituals is impure since it brings about rebirth.
So why do we do ritual? Why do we do it? What is the purpose of ritual? There are levels and levels of why people do ritual. The tamasic form is basically black magic. I'm angry and vengeful, and I do a ritual to hurt or harm another person. Karmically, that'll just come back and destroy us. But the Rajasic mode of doing rituals is, this is an ancient idea of deity, where the gods can be propitiated through ritual. In other words, we can make the gods do what we want. So Lakshmi, she's there, she's up in heaven. She just kind of likes stinky smoke. That's why we do the incense. She appreciates having, little bits of food on the tally and stuff like that. Is that really true? But if we believe things, as the Master Jesus said, whatsoever you ask, believing, so shall you receive. So we see the deities as our errand boys or errand girls. Give me what I want. Vast majority of ritual that we do is for this purpose. Even in Christianity. Oh God, please heal Aunt Mary. Give me what I want. Over and over. There is a cyclic form of ritual. The Murti is simply an outward symbol of the divine which I love. And the ritual is the way in which I make love to the divine. I express my love. But then we talked about Narada here in the famous Narada Bhakti Sutra. The highest form, Parama Prema, is reveling in the self. It's the worship of the self. Now here Vidyaranya says you cannot be attached to ritual. That doesn't mean necessarily not to do it. You may or may not. I have no need to do ritual. Yet I asked Aditi to do arati Friday night. Out of compassion for other people. We may do that. We may enjoy it. I always think of the story of Swami Tapovanam going to the Sharda temple, which is now in Pakistan. Great Devi temple for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. And in his autobiography, he talks about hanging out there for several weeks, chanting the name of the mother, doing ritual to the mother. Yet he was a great non-dualist. There's no mother up there. Like, I care. This is fun. It's his idea of a good time. Highest form of worldly pleasure. Again, for the Muni, for the Jnani, for the Sthita Prajna Purusha. We are no longer dependent upon or attached to. Any thoughts on this? And it's not just Hindus. If you're a Christian and you're attached to the idea, I have to go to church every Sunday, I have to take communion or I'm going to be cast into the fires of hell, etc., etc., etc. All this is attachment. All has to be given up. Next verse.
Tatha Chatharvarnika adhiyate. Lava hyote adridha yagya rupa ashtashoktamavaram yeshu karma etasche yo ye abhinandane अभिनन्दन्ति मूढा जार जरामृत्युं ते पुनरेवापि यन्ति अविद्यामन्तरे वर्तमानाः स्वयं धीराः पण्डितं मन्यमानः जङ्घन्यमानाः परयन्ति मूढा अन्धेनैव नियमाना यथान्धाः अविद्यायां बहुधा वर्तमाना वयं कृतार्था इत्यभिमन्यन्ते बालाः यत्कर्मिणो न प्रवेदयन्ति रागात् तेनातुराः क्षीणलोकाश्च वन्ते इष्टापूर्तं मन्यमाना वरिष्ठं नान्यश्रेयो वेदन्ते प्रमूढाः नाकस्य पृष्ठे ते सकृते अनुभूत्वे मम लोकम् ईनतरं वा विशन्ति. The Mundaka Upanishad of the Atharva Veda reads thus: Unsteadily, verily, are these boats of the 18 sacrificial forms, which are said to be inferior karma. The deluded who delight in this as leading to good fall again into old age and death. Abiding in the midst of ignorance, wise in their own esteem, thinking themselves to be learned, fools, afflicted with troubles, go about like blind men, led by one who is blind himself. Yes. The immature, living manifoldly in ignorance, think, we have accomplished our aim. Since who perform rituals do not understand the truth because of attachment, therefore they sink down, wretched, when their worlds, i.e., the fruits of their merits, are exhausted. Those deluded men, regarding sacrifices and works of merit as most important, do not know any other good. Having enjoyed in the high place of heaven won by good deeds, they enter again this world, or a still lower one.
So, what he's talking about here, we can look at it from the literalistic viewpoint. The ritualists do their various rituals to acquire punya, merit, and expiate papam, demerit or sin or defilement. And what they achieve by it is, after this world, they go to punya loka. And the problem is, punya loka or swarga, heaven, is temporary. It's like you win the lottery and you win $50,000, the lottery. And then you go out, and in the next year or so, you spend $50,000. So what happens the day after that? I'm gonna get a job again. The accrued merit is temporary. The deeper meaning, there are those of us who think the goal of life is the satisfaction of our desires, being important in the eyes of our fellows, having self-esteem, having some health, nice clothes, jewelry, a home. There's nothing wrong with this. But it's all temporary. There's a slogan around the 12-step programs. If you want self-esteem, do esteemable actions. That's true. But let's say you do esteemable actions for a year. Everybody thinks you're a pretty good person. And then after that year, you revert to your selfishness, your greed, your lying, cheating, and stealing. Guess what happens to the esteem of others and your own self-esteem? Gone. You have to keep doing the ritual in order to continue to enjoy the fruits of your esteemable actions. Oh, yeah. So, is there a way to get out of the whole rat race? Because the desire for worldly pleasure is dependent on kartavya, effort, struggle. Oh. Let's see what's next.
Bhagvatapyuktam yamimam pushpitam vacham pravadantya vipaschitaha vedavadarataha partha nanyadastiti vadinaha kamatmanah swargapara janma karma phalapradam kriya vishesha bahulam भोगैश्वर्य गतिं प्रति भोगैश्वर्य प्रसक्तानां दयापह्यतचेतसां व्यवसायात्मिका बुद्धिः समाधो न विधीयते त्रैगुण्यविषया वेदा निस्त्रैगुण्यो भवार्जुन निर्द्वन्द्वो नित्यसत्त्वस्थो नियोर्गक्षेम आत्मवान् यावानर्थ उदपाने सर्वतः संप्लुतोदके तावान् सर्वेषु वेदेषु ब्रह्मणस्य vijanatah. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord has also said thus: the undiscerning who rejoice in the panegyric words of the Vedas and are contend that there is nothing else, O Partha, who are full of desires and consider heaven as their highest goal, proclaim these flowery words that result in rebirth as the fruit of actions, and prescribe various specialized rites for the attainment of pleasure and power. The intelligence which discriminates between right and wrong of those who are devoted to enjoyment and power, and whose minds are carried away by those flowery words of the Vedas, is not well set in their mind. The Vedas deal with the actions of the threefold modes. Be thou free, O Arjuna, from this threefold nature. Be free from the dualities. Be firmly fixed in purity, not caring for acquisition and preservation, and be possessed of the self. To the Brahmana, who has known the self, all the Vedas are of so much use as a reservoir is when there is a flood everywhere.
Beautiful, beautiful stuff. So the idea here is there are people who approach the scripture in the East and the West thinking its goal is allowing me to get what I want, because getting what I want will make me happy. So here he's talking about the Hindu ritualist doing their puja to get cash and prizes, power and wealth. But it can only be maintained, if in fact it even happens, through continuous effort. I have a friend who was exposed to, I think it's called Nichiren Shochu Buddhism, where they chant Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. It's a form of Buddhism where if you chant this chant, you'll get what you want. It's a materialist form of Buddhism. And even in the Christian church, there are many, many schools of what we call prosperity gospels. Will teach you how to pray so you can get what you want. Even though the Master Jesus said, my kingdom is not of this world. The metaphysicians, if you do visualizations and affirmations, you can have the Cadillac. They don't deal with the underlying belief. Getting a Cadillac is what's going to make me happy. The knower of Brahman knows that the self, Nityananda, eternal bliss, that there is no real joy in the phenomenal world. I just use the people, places, things, and situations to momentarily induce the mind state freed from struggle. Only the self is bliss absolute. The world isn't bad. It's just void. It's empty, neutral. And if you have the bliss of the self, the bliss of this world, like a reservoir with flood everywhere, like a thimble full of water added to the ocean. One of the most difficult things for the yogi to internalize, such is the power of Maya. Even though I've heard the truth, even though there are moments when I've had samadhi, this objectless abides in my self nature, I forget. Play whack-a-mole with the world. Next verse.
दर्पहेतुत्वाच्च शास्त्रवासनाया मलिनत्वम् श्वेतकेतुरल्पेनैव कालेन सर्वान् वेदानधीत्य दर्पेण पितुरपि पुरतो विनयं न चकारे तिष्ठन्तोगाः षष्ठाध्याय पठन्ति तथा बालाकिः कानिचिदुपासनान्यवगत्य the ushi dishu bahushu de desheshu digvijayena bahunvi pranavagyaya kashyama jata shatrum brahma vichiromani manushasitum harsh harshtayam chakareti kaushitagino vajasaneyinascha dhiyate. Moreover, the desire for learning is impure, since it is the cause of insolence. In the 6th chapter of the
Cause of what?
insolence. In the 6th chapter of the Chandogya Upanishad, it has been described that Shvetaketu, having learned all the Vedas in a short time, out of pride did not behave with humility even before his father. Similarly, it is described in the 4th chapter of the Goshitaki Upanishad and in the first Brahmana of the 2nd chapter of the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad that Balaki was very proud because of his knowledge of a few forms of worship. He went in a conquering spree to many countries, beginning with Ushineta, and humiliated many Brahmanas by the preeminence of his erudition. And at last, at Kashi, he had the audacity to offer instructions to Ajata Shastru, the most eminent among the knowers of Brahman.
So here he's saying essentially that Shastra Vasana, the acquisition of learning itself, becomes an object of desire to which we can become attached. I don't know if you've caught any of this irony. Vidyaranya is obviously a man of very great learning, quoting all sorts of scriptures. So it's very funny. It's like Swamiji, who used to say, the longer the beard, the greater the mistrust, as he would stroke his very long beard. So there's some humor here. Vidyaranya is obviously an incredibly learned man. But I would say that in the West we have a parallel. St. Thomas Aquinas, a doctor of the church, considered one of the most learned theologians. And what he said at the end of his life, he said he learned more about theology on his knees at the feet of the cross than he ever did doing theology. Meaning, in the attitude of complete humility and surrender to the God of his understanding. Shankara's great poem, Bhaja Govindam. Bhaja Govindam Mudhamate, fool, don't spend your time learning grammar, love the Lord. Any thoughts or questions? Next verse.
Dehavasana Pyatmatva Gunadhana Dosha Panayana Shanti Bheda Trividha Tatratmatvam Bhashakar Udajahara Dehamatram Chaitanya Vishishta matmeti prakrita jana lokaytikascha pratipannaha. Brahma Sutra Bhashye iti. Sava esha purusho anna rasamayah ityarabhya tasmadannam taduchyate. Taittiriya Upanishad. Ityantena granthena tameva prakrita pratipanpattim taitiryaha spashtikurvanti. Virochanah prajapati nanushishto api swachitta doshena dehatma buddhim drirhi kritya suransarvana nushasa itishchandoga ashtamadhyaye samamanti. The desire for the body is also of three kinds: the erroneous identification of the body with the self, acquirement of good qualities, and removal of fault. The commentator Shankaracharya has described the mistaken identity of the self thus. Ordinary people, as well as materialists of the Lokayata school, recognize the body alone to be the self possessed of sentience. From the Pashuman Parma Sutra. In the Taittiriya Upanishad, such notion of the ordinary people, i.e., this false identification, has been described thus, beginning with, "This verily is the person that consists of the essence of food," and ending with, "Therefore it is called food." In the 8th chapter of the Chandogya Upanishad, it is described that Virochana, although Prajapati, instructed him in self-knowledge, because of his impure mind, was firmly convinced in the selfhood of his body, and went to impart this wrong conception to his fellow demons.
So here now he's switched gears and he's talking about Deha Vasana, the attachment, the identification with the body. It is also considered the Bija Vasana, the seed attachment or identification of Jiva Bhavana, the feeling that I'm a person. And he talked about, I did not notice that Shankara talked about the identification that the body is me, and that there's good things that happen to my body, identification, and bad things that happen to my body, identification. Physical pleasures, physical pains, and the deeply rooted sense. Modern terms, we would say consciousness is a function of brain activity. The vast majority of people think I am the body. When in fact, body is an object of awareness. So our modern science-based world would take this viewpoint, which is contrary to the direct experience of the great Mahatmas. Any thoughts on this? Now, let me do a caveat here. Even if you are an atheist materialist, and you do think consciousness is the result of brain activity, when you die, you're dead, lights off, it's over. The question still arises, how can I be happy in this world? And Vairagya is still the most intelligent path. Don't sweat the small stuff. It's all small stuff. I was talking with some people on the phone this morning who are not yogis, terribly upset about the election last night. We're doomed, we're doomed, we're doomed, we're all going to move to Europe. And my advice, hopefully it was of benefit, I said, well, first of all, let me talk kind of my own experience. The program tool that I would use, the AA program, is one day at a time. Today, I'm okay. Sunny day, a roof over my head, my body parts have fallen off, I have enough food to eat. Today, I have no problem. Oh, but what about the future? Well, one day. Then we talk about a gratitude list. You know, I can't remember one of the talking heads was talking about how optimism is a choice. One of the tools that's very good for that is developing an attitude of gratitude. A program tool every morning. Write down 10 things for which you're grateful. Share them with another person. They can be trivial or they can be profound. But we see the value of altered attitudes. Some people say that's what the AA stands for. Mm-hmm. These are useful tools even if you think you're your brain. And Krishna and Gita says even a little of this knowledge frees us from great fear. If you have some sense that there's something divine, Ishvara Pranidhana, trustful surrender to God. I can go a long way. Even if I think I'm the body, if I can turn it over to a power greater than myself, I'll find some peace. Any thoughts on this? Next verse.
Gunadhanam Dvividham Lokikam Shastriyam Cheti Samichina Shabda Tisampadanam Lokikam Kaumaladhvanina Gatumadhetum Va Tailapana Maricha Bhakshanadishu Lokaha Prayatante Mridusparshaya Lokaha Pushtikarav Voshadha Harav Vayunjate Lavanyaya Bhyango Udratanu Kulala Lankaranu Pasevante Saugandhaya Sragalepane Dharyante Shastriyam Madhatum Gangasnana Sala gramatirthadikam sampadayanti. Acquisition of accessory qualities is of two kinds, the customary and the scriptural. Accomplishing true voice or note is non-scriptural, for instance. People attempt at drinking oil and eating pepper in order to acquire a sweet voice for singing or chanting. People make use of drugs and nutritious food to obtain soft skin. For people use cosmetics such as cream, powder, etc., wear fine clothes and ornaments. To make the body fragrant, people put on garlands of flowers and apply sandalwood paste, etc. To acquire scriptural accessory qualities, people bathe in the holy water of the Ganga, worship Salagrima, and go for pilgrimage.
So now he's continuing to discourse on Deha Vasana. So the first section he's talking about are things we do to make the body beautiful and desirable to others. It's very funny. I'm thinking of a woman with whom I was speaking who said, I don't want to be treated as a sex object. I understand that. But one of the things we need to understand about the body is it's a sex object. A lizard brain. Oh, make babies. Oh, make babies. It's deeply rooted. If we present the body in a way where others find us attractive, what does the word attractive mean? I'm attracted to it. What am I going to do with that attraction? Rub it, kiss it, smell it. Now, thing is, you are not it. But once we can step back and see we're not the body, then we can present our physiognomy in the world in a way that communicates what we want to communicate. If the baseline is it's a sex object, don't be surprised if you beautify it, dress it up, have beautiful skin, make it smell good. People are attracted to it. Powerful. I was watching an interesting video today on, not today, but in this past week, on pretty privilege, it's called. The kind of social privilege that's given to people who are beautiful. Very powerful. But for example, with something as simple as the way we dress. There's an old adage in the Western world, clothes make the man. Well, they make the person too. What you wear, how you present yourself is always a communication. You can't get away from it. But the yogi begins to understand what you wear is a communication. How you dress, how you look, communicates. Are you communicating what you want to communicate? Well, I like to look nice. So if a woman wears tight clothing that, makes her alluring display structures very visible. Should she be offended if people respond to it? On the other hand, someone goes into the workplace with a power suit. That's a statement too. Or if you're Zuckerberg and you wear a t-shirt and jeans to work, even though you're one of the wealthiest men in the world, that's a statement too. It's always a communication. My only suggestion is be conscious. And don't wish you were communicating one thing when in fact the way you're presenting the bond is something else. Then there are the kinds of things we do with Dehavasana that we think are spiritual. If I fast, if I go on a pilgrimage, if I take a sacred bath in the West, if I get baptized, if I get confirmed, if I don't eat meat on Friday, that somehow this bodily activity is going to benefit me spiritually. And here Vidyarani is saying both of those are fundamentally illusory. All right, one more.
Dosha panayanam cha chikitsako oktera rosha dharmukhadi prakshalanena cha lokikam shochacha manadi bhirvedika mityukhavyavitham asyascha dehavasanaya malinyam vakshayate dehasyatmatvam tavadapramanika tvadashesha dukha hetutvacha malinatvam asmin charthe purvacharyeha sarverapi parakrantam gunadhanam cha prayena na pashyamaha prasiddha eva gayaka adhyapakascha prayatamana api bahavo phanisoshtavam na labhante mridusparsho anga pushtischa na niyato lavanya saugandhye api dupula sragadinishte na tu dehanishte ata eva Vishnu Purane abhihitam. Removal of fault is also of two kinds. Of them, the customary one is by taking medicines prescribed by a doctor or having mouthwash, etc. And the scriptural one is purifying by sprinkling and sipping of water and the like. It will be explained later that the desire for the body is impure. Confounding the body with the self is unfounded, and such identification is also the cause of endless misery. So it is impure. All earlier teachers have exerted much in this matter. i.e., have used cogent reasons to remove this false conception. Acquisition of additional qualities are mostly not found. Celebrated musicians and teachers, although endeavoring, fail to accomplish a delightful voice. Tender skin and nourishment of the body are not invariably achieved by food, etc. The beauty and fragrance are also in the fine clothes and the flower garlands, etc., not in the body. For this, it is said in the Vishnu Purana thus, and also in the Narada Parivrajaka Upanishad.
So this is all, is that the end of it?
Yeah.
Just more expounding on this whole idea of body attachment, of the two kinds, of the external and then the idea to try to get spiritual through the body. It's a dead end project, but somehow by doing something with the body, I'm going to find a real and lasting freedom. We have modern things, and I'm not saying these are not efficacious and bring some temporary peace. So you and I have talked about things like ecstatic dancing. Isn't it wonderful? And don't you get a lot of release from it?
Yeah.
Is it permanent?
No.
Deep tissue body work can release a whole lot of stored trauma in the body. These are our modern forms of these spiritual things, you might say. But no one's going to ever find liberation through trying to do it from the body itself. Now, the way I like to suggest that we look at the body, what is the body? One way of viewing it, the body is a vehicle for the satisfaction of desire and the garnering of experience. That's why we took up the body in the first place. But at a deeper level, the body is an instrument for the realization of the self. It is here in Manushya Loka that self-realization takes place. Not in Punya Loka, Swarga, nor in Naraka, Papaloka, in the hell realms. It's here in the human realm. In enlightenment, self-realization takes place. Acquiring a human birth is a precious thing. Don't waste it. How should we treat the body? Treat it as you would a car. Now, some people have a car and they never change the oil. What happens? Their car blows up. So see the body as a car, a vehicle. Take care of it for the purpose of it being able to be a servant. If antithetically, your body gives you a lot of trouble because you have chronic pain, or you've got something as simple as dryness, or a major disability, the body can then become a burden. It attracts our attention, which keeps us away from turning our minds towards the infinite. This is why when we chant Om Shanti 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 at the end of a mantra, may I be freed from the external vicissitudes and the environment. May I be freed from agitations in my mind. But also, may my body not be a problem. because of meditation, we want to be able to forget. All right, any thoughts on this? We'll end here today. What verse are we on for next time?
127,
Page
page 127.
Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Guru Namaha. Hari Om.